Relate to what Michael's saying there, righty?
Well, the thing is that what's very surprising, Steve, is that playing at Liverpool for as many years as I've played there, and the way that they've treated their players, they don't boo them. You know what I mean? If you play well at Liverpool, they clap you off, you get an ovation off the pitch and things like that. But then you hear the stories about what's happened with Stevie. We're seeing what's happening now. We just heard Michael's. There's an undercurrent of real kind of meanness about how they are when you leave that club. No matter how you leave, whether you leave with a Premier League medal, you've won the Champions, you've won everything there, or you just leave. It seems like for him to be leaving for free, Steve, seems to be not enough for them to be as angry as they are. They surely have to be able to look at what he's done for them, how hard it is. I thought his statement towards the fans was fantastic. How hard it is for him to make that decision and who's making the decision to try and take him. I think for them to be like this and knowing the stories about what happens with Stevie and everything, it really is disgusting to the core how they're treating him.
I think Wright, he touched on a really important thing there. I mean, Liverpool fans are so unique. They will never, ever boo their own. When you're playing in that red shirt, even if you're the worst player on the planet, if you're playing in that red shirt, you're one of them. Yeah. And I've been to other clubs, I've seen it. They will boo their own just because of bad performances. Liverpool fans are so in love, so, connected to their team. It's a unique, what we saw, the scenes we saw when they won the league, it's incredible how passionate they are for their team. They would do anything for their own. However, as Wright has just touched on, if then they know you're leaving or something, untoward happens or wrong happens or whatever in their eyes, then of course they will let you know then, and they let me know, they let Trent know, yep. Steve McManaman, before me, etc., etc. So, I'm sure lots of Liverpool fans will be churning in their stomach themselves. Probably 95% of Liverpool fans will be saying, we weren't booing. We've loved Trent.
Sounded like a lot,
etc.
Sounded like a lot.
And when I meet people in the street, every single person says it to me. We remember the good days. We remember the FA Cup final. We remember the, however many goals you scored, etc., etc. They say that, but of course, Trent will leave now knowing that, well, his second to last game, and maybe even his last game, there were people that booed him, and you can't get that out of your head. Despite what's happened for the last, 20 years of his life of pure adulation, the one thing I remember now is I forget a lot of them. I just think, yeah, but they booed me at the end. Yeah. And it just makes you feel absolutely sick for what you did for the club.
Yeah, and a despair.
Yeah, because there was a time, especially in the first half of this one, Steve, where I was very worried about the physical state and the mental state of the team. Like I mentioned, the tough week that they've had. Must be very tough for them then to come into this game. You could see they weren't quite themselves. The amount of spaces that was left, and obviously Liverpool going 2 up. I think at half-time, like I mentioned, he needs to get them going because this could be embarrassing otherwise. And they did it again. They showed remarkable grit again and going into that mental reserve, what they did, and pulled it back out of fire. Because I think the Newcastle game is going to be a tough game. They're very buoyant up there at the moment. They've got great momentum. It'll be a tough one to go up there and get anything. But going up there now, knowing that you only need a point there maybe, and then you've got Southampton, which we're hoping that they probably beat, it's a lot easier. They do need a little bit of a break in respect to games for me in what they've had to achieve over the last few weeks. So that was a good result in the end, Steve, I think, going to Newcastle, like you say.
Yeah, because they are running on empty. We saw Trossard pull his hamstring. Yep. Marino is obviously now suspended as well for the Newcastle game. It's all hands to the pump just to get over the line.
It is, and one of the things that's quite annoying to hear is you don't really hear the manager talking about the injuries too many times, but people talking about Arsenal regressing this season, and yeah, we have. I think from a points tally, we've regressed from scoring goals as well. You have to say we have regressed in the way we've played, but the points tally isn't the same. But when you look at the injuries, you have to see that has made a major dent in what Arsenal are trying to do this season, and still Arsenal are still fighting for second right at the end of the season, going deep into the Champions League. They have to take something in respects of the way that those players who have been fit have tried their very best to get there, and unfortunately it was just too much in the end. You can see our bench. Our bench, you can see there's nothing coming off the bench. There's nothing come off the bench for a couple of months now in respects of someone come on and change the game. So I think they've done unbelievably with what they've ended up with in respects of a squad.
Yeah, Michael, to put it into context, when you have such a low like they did in the week, not getting the better of Paris Saint-Germain, and the physical demands today to go away to that atmosphere and the home of the champions who could play with freedom, 2 down, to get something out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. The physical demands are great, obviously mental ones as well. But I think when you get to this stage of the season, you know, you're not necessarily playing against lesser teams whereby you might go 2-3-0 up, and really you only have to push yourself for 50, 60 minutes to get 3-0 up. And then you can coast. The next day you don't really feel the effects. When you're playing against, you know, the likes of Paris Saint-Germain or Liverpool, you're having to push yourself for the whole 90 minutes. They're tough, really tough games. So, and they're coming thick and fast. But, you know, listen, if they finish second in the league, semi-finals of the Champions League, I know Arsenal fans might be a little bit disappointed, but it's a very, very solid season.
Brilliant.
Indeed. OK, let's speak to one of their heroes in that comeback at Anfield, Gabriel Martinelli, who got things going after 88 seconds of that second half. Gabby, well done for coming out and speaking to us and after that result. I mean, what a start you gave your team at the start of the second half. What was the message at half-time?
Hello guys. That we needed to do better in the second half, and yeah, we started pretty well with the goal. We knew that we could beat them. Of course, we didn't start the first half well, but at half-time we talked and we just went to the second half with a different mentality, and yeah, we did it. Of course, we wanted to win the game, but we take the point here. It's never easy to come here and play against them.
You know, it's 8.5 years since anyone did that from Liverpool at Anfield when there were 2 goals to the good. So well done. But how much did you have to dig deep to get that comeback over the line?
I mean, it's never easy to come here and play against this team. We know how hard it is, but we know our qualities as well. We know what we can do. Of course, it's been a difficult week after the game against PSG. We got disappointed, but we have to move on, you know. And we came here with the mentality to win the game.
Gabby, how you doing, my friend? Unlucky this week, but fantastic today. I thought you was man of the match for us today. I just wanted to say, Gabby, in respect of your mental, how you feel mentally, going in at 2-0 down and then coming and getting a result in a game. We'd kind of need the result because of Newcastle. Where did that come from, Gabby? What was said at half-time? Was everybody shouting? What was it like in the dressing room?
Legend, you okay? It's always good to talk to you.
I love you, my friend.
I love you too. You know how it is to play for this football club. We never give up, and this is what we talked at halftime, that we couldn't play the same way that we did in the first half, that we could do better. We just stick together, and we did pretty well in the second half. In the beginning, we just scored the goal, and we just went for it.
Nice one.
Gabby, it's Michael Owen here. I've been reliably informed that was your 4th headed goal for Arsenal. Just talk us through your goal. We can have a look at it now. You just managed to pull away from Virgil van Dijk, I think, and obviously find the far corner.
Yeah, I mean, I just was speaking to Leo so he could go out, and I tried to stay in between them because they are so tall, and I wouldn't have any chance if I was close to them. So I just tried to be in between, and when the ball was coming, I just thought about putting it in the net.
And Gabby, you've now scored more goals against Liverpool than any other team in an Arsenal shirt. And let me tell you this, the legend here scored as many goals as you have at Anfield against Liverpool. So there you go. Dizzy heights.
Gabby's a legend.
No. It's really good to know that, but he's the legend. I just try to do my best.
And just quickly, big game now for Newcastle. If you win that, you can relax and you're in the Champions League.
Yeah, I mean, we still have 2 games to go. We have to win those 2. We go to the games to win. This is what we need to do.
Well done today. Thanks for joining us.
Safe trip back, my friend.
Thank you, guys.
God bless.
Take care.
That is Gabriel Martinelli live at Anfield for you. Right, let's hear from his manager, who had those stirring words at half-time. Here he is, Mikel Arteta.
Mikel, were you happy with the way and the manner in which you came back into this contest? Can you explain why?
No, because what we did in the first half, in the first 20 minutes, is nowhere near the level. So to do it after is too late. Yeah, we reacted, great, but the standards in those 20 minutes was unacceptable.
What do you put down to that first opening 20 minutes? Can you explain what they are? No?
Already done in the dressing room, yeah.
But you got a reaction in the second half, at half-time. So what did you say at half-time to your players?
It's about action, not reaction.
Was it the emotion attached to what happened in midweek? Maybe why your players, you feel, weren't on it in the first 20 minutes or so?
Then you don't have to be fighting for trophies, because when you fight for trophies, you might win it, you might lose it, and then it's another one, and that's it. So that's the level that we have to ask ourselves. You know, you just accept things, and in my opinion, not acceptable.
Not accepting things, but how hard then, how much weight is on these players to win something, to have that mentality to overcome all of this?
It's not to win, it's that you have to be. Nobody can promise that you win. They cannot promise you do what you want, you go in the market. Nobody's going to promise. You're going to have 6, 7 people just praying to be in Champions League first, and then see we can win a silverware next season. That's it. It's not about that. It's just doing the basics, the simple thing that you can dominate. I'm not asking anybody to dribble 2 players, put it in the top corner. Never going to do that.
What reaction then are you expecting from your players to see in the next 2 remaining games that you have? Because the game against Newcastle is so important for you.
Yeah, the action that we had after those 20-25 minutes, and especially in the second half. That's what I'm. Not me, them. It's not about me. Ask him. It's not about that.
How much more then, if it's not you, how much more can you get out of that group of players because your standards are so high?
No, my responsibility. That's when the team plays like this. That's on me. 20 minutes. Yeah, that's on me for sure.
Are you suggesting then that the players perhaps aren't at the level that you want them to be at, if it's not down to you?
Today, no, me. And it's not about the players. Yeah? It's about we. It's not here players, manager, nothing. It's nobody accepts those standards, and they will have to be nowhere near what we did in the second half. With all respect, with all the things that we have to be in the position that we are in, 15 points, I mean, it hurts. It has to hurt a lot. Well, regardless of all the excuses, and it's the 6th times we play with 10 men, 6 times this season. And all the injuries, we have half of the team, half of the starters not starting. It doesn't matter. Still, look what we can do when we are there. So that's it, that's the standards.
Okay, no, I've got a couple more to ask, if that's possible. When you say about the standards then, is it about the emotions, how your players deal with it emotionally during a match?
No. It's about that we respect the game in a manner that we plan and we have to do. That's it.
Well, that was an extremely strong reaction from Mikel Arteta there. 15 points has to hurt. Is he, what does he do? Suggesting the players aren't hurt by it, or?
You could see he's obviously had a tough week, and let's face it, he's had a very tough season with what's happening with what people say about him, to win a trophy, trying to win a trophy. If we do get something off from Newcastle and beat Southampton, it'll be the 3rd season on the spin that we finished 2nd. And, judging by that interview, it just felt to me like he's just, with everything that's happened up to this point, that first half and how slack and how lax it was, it's not acceptable for him. His standards are high, even though we're out of everything, apart from the Champions League. He wants to see them finish strong. He didn't make excuses about the injuries, didn't make excuses about the sending-offs. He was just disappointed in the way that they started. And this is why he's like he is. This is why I'm delighted that he's the manager, because he will never be satisfied. He won't take that kind of performance in the first half, and I'm sure he'll let them know. And what I'm hoping, Steve, is that the summer, because we missed it out the last summer, is that he makes the kind of signings that will come in and reiterate everything what he wants from his team, whether it's goal-scoring players, defensive players, whoever it is. Ideally, we can get some goal-scoring players, but he just needs to now, him and Andrea Berta, bring in the kind of players that can really take him to that next place, because what he was saying about that first 20 minutes sounds to me like he's just absolutely fuming. I've not seen him that bad in an interview before in respect of how angry he was. He was steaming. How
crucial is that recruitment? Because if they don't get it right, do you worry in any way, shape or form for Mikel Arteta for the start of next season? I don't worry for him, because I know how much the owners think of him. I know how hard he's working to get this right. Obviously, a forward, Steve, is something that, I'm hearing now 7 years
we've missed out on maybe 5 windows. I don't know what it is, but we've still not got a forward. And I think that when you look at certain games, a forward would probably help us to get it over the line. So that is something that I believe in this next window needs to happen. You know, people are talking about Zubimendi maybe done. What you need to do is we need to make sure that we bring in the kind of players that take this group to that next level of trying to get something. And I think a goal scorer or a goal-scoring player up front, in the front line, is somebody that's going to help us to do that, because I feel that, you know, it's so frustrating this season, getting to as far as we did, with the injuries, with everything what's happened, and just falling short. But you say falling short, but we're 15 points behind. And he's right, it's not acceptable for us. But at the same time, he's still very proud of the fact that the players still had a go up to this point with all the players and everything that's gone on who we're missing at the moment.
Yeah, and you two goal scorers, you know why you're the highest paid players in the dressing room and why you're the most sought after. Just to put this into context, Aubameyang was the last striker to get 20 goals for Arsenal. Salah, 28 on the other side today. Their top 3 scorers added together are still 4 short of Salah. Arsenal here.
Yeah, exactly. As you say, Aubameyang, last striker, really, the last big goal scorer, let's say. But Arteta got rid of him. Whether he was a problem in the dressing room, whatever it might have been, I don't know. But
no one's got 20 since then.
No, I know. It's
Mind you, no one's got 20 at Man United since Robin van Persie. I mean, it's not just Arsenal, is it?
No, it's not easy. And there's a serious dearth of centre-forwards around the world at the moment. You know, you look at, just in the Premier League for starters, you know, you could say Liverpool need a centre-forward. You know, they're playing Luis Diaz as a centre-forward for half of the last season. I mean, he's not a natural centre-forward. You know, Manchester United are desperate for one. Arsenal are desperate for one,
Chelsea.
or possibly 2. Chelsea probably need one. Virtually everyone needs a centre-forward.
You know,
I mean, gone are the days when there used to be 3 or 4 at every club that were all very, very good and could all score plenty of goals. Now, if you've got one, you're doing quite well. So they're hard to find, and they carry a premium. And Arsenal are more desperate probably than anybody, and they will overpay for one if necessary. But when you look around, who is there?
The thing is, you say that, Michael, and that's what's happened. You look at Højlund, I think he had 9 goals for Atalanta.
That's way overpaid, isn't it?
Absolutely, and the money they paid for him is, again, you're taking a chance on potential. Look at Darwin Núñez. You know,
85.
you take exactly 85. I'm not sure if Arsenal can afford to go in
Get it wrong.
and get it wrong like that. So you look at it and you think to yourself, yes, we desperately need a striker, but we need a kind of striker that's going to come in and will score, because we can't do a Højlund or a Darwin Núñez. I don't think we could do that. I think there'll be money for him to get in the summer, but we can't afford to buy the striker that doesn't work, because if let's face it with them two, they've not worked up to this point. So Arsenal, again, are fishing in a place where everybody is. So you're going to have to pay premium, but you're going to have to make sure that is somebody who is going to deliver for you, because I don't think we can afford to do what Liverpool...
And is that perhaps why you've gone so many windows without one, because that obvious one wasn't there?
Well, maybe because, again, I feel that we can't afford to go in and 80 million, 90. That's why Isak was on the cards for us, because they're thinking, well, let's go for somebody that we know will do it here. And so, you know, there's talk about Gyökeres from Sporting. You know, maybe he could be the one. He's played there before, not at the Premier League level, but he's played in England before. So maybe he could be used to something. But like, with the chances that hopefully can be made, we just need somebody who can put it away every now and then.
It's going to have to be a proven one, isn't it? Because as you mentioned, the way you're talking, right, the way the Arsenal fans are talking, everybody knows it. Imagine the pressure
Honestly.
this new centre-forward for Arsenal. Everybody's looking at them, and everybody's just going to expect, yeah, there it is, missing piece of the jigsaw. We're going to win the league now. The pressure on that number 9 at Arsenal.
And I remember when Dennis came. You know, Dennis didn't score for maybe 7, 8 games. The people were going crazy, talking about how it's a flop, and it was only 7 million quid. We saw what he turned out to be. But at the same time, it's just vitally important that whoever we get is ready to go and he's capable of dealing with the kind of pressure that Michael just rightly mentioned. Because as soon as we sign a striker and he's the striker, people say, okay, so that's Arsenal's final piece. And it's not that simple. Because I still feel that probably like hopefully the midfield's done in respect of Zubimendi. I feel a backup centre-back would be very good as well. When you look at Kiwior, he's coming in, he's done very well towards the end of the season, but you feel like another one coming in would be great. I feel, you know what I mean, people are talking about a left back because maybe Lewis Skelly goes into midfield, whichever. But I just think if we can, I think that's even a second goalkeeper. Second goalkeeper, defender, midfield, forward. I'd be happy if we could get 4, maybe 5 players in that order of quality. But you know, that's just me, just wishful thinking, I think.
And the forward, you know, just off the top of my head, what Wright is saying, and you're making the point there. Everyone thinks that's completed the jigsaw. I mean, players like Romelu Lukaku, when he went to United and Chelsea, everyone thought that, didn't they?
Yeah.
£85 million, proven in the Premier League, just scored 20 league goals for Everton. That's it, done. And for whatever reason, at 2 clubs, it wasn't the answer. It's such a hard find.
And the price tag's going up now, so 85 million is the figure you've just mentioned.
Well,
the previous strike. Yeah, but the equivalent now of a Lukaku that's pretty much guaranteed to score those, it would be nearly double that. I mean, we mentioned Isak. I don't think he will move, but I mean, if you are getting someone like that, you're talking 150 plus nowadays for the real proven. You know, Darwin Núñez had never played in the Premier League before, and he was 85 or something. So that's still unproven at 85. I mean, if somebody comes available that is that elite, Arsenal are just going to have to put all their eggs in that basket and get it, because that is a position that, you know, it's just the most important position. I know listen, if you're going to win the league, every position is important. People will say, oh, you can't win a league without a good keeper or a good centre-half or a good number 6, etc. But really, a centre-forward can get you out of all kinds of problems.
And is that why they're 15? One of the main reasons why they're 15 points behind Liverpool?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you just said the stat. There's hardly any.
Their top 3 goal scorers are still 4 behind Salah.
It's
combined.
incredible. I mean, imagine Arne Slot when he wakes up and he's just picking the team. Well, he goes in because he's virtually guaranteed a goal every game. I mean, you're hoping, when you pick the Arsenal team, you're thinking, where are the goals coming here? And it might not just be an attacker. Arsenal might need goals from other areas, because if there's 3 players that still can't score as much as Salah in their best 3 or their highest scoring 3, then they might need another attacking wide player or someone that can score plenty of goals, or an attacking midfielder.
So, Steve, I was just thinking about Darwin Núñez. He was just burning.
What, whether you want to sign him or not?
No, it's just like.
I'm sure you could have him.
No, it's just
Michael will give you him.
I was just thinking about how you bring a player in like that, and if he hits off, brilliant. You know, you think to yourself, well, that's the gauge. That's what you have to pay for a player like that who's come from where he's come from. But now, how does it go? How does somebody say, well, you're going to pay less than 85 when Liverpool paid 85 for Darwin Núñez? It's not worked, but that seems to be a ceiling in respects of what you have to pay for a striker nowadays without them even being proven. It's crazy what's happened. I can't believe it. I don't know. I look at it now and think to myself, Newcastle can ask for anything for Isak. What he's proven, what he's capable of doing. And this is what's happened with a Núñez that doesn't do well, or a Højlund that doesn't do well. Anybody comes in and does that, you think to yourself, well, my player's twice as good as him, and he's gone for 85 million. So this is where you think to yourself, what's it going to cost teams to get that striker that comes in and can deliver? What's it going to cost?
Kai Havertz has been out for 3 months, and he is still Arsenal's top scorer.
That says everything, I think.
OK, that is the Arsenal reaction done and dusted. Let's get some Liverpool dressing room reaction. Here is Andy Robertson.
I'm just going to ask you about Trent in a moment, but I couldn't help but notice he came up to you at half-time. He was looking for you to come off the pitch, and your little buddy there, and I mean, he was laughing at you.
Yeah, look, we've always had that. We've always been delighted for each other with assists and contributing. It's been a huge part of our game for the 8 years we've played together. And yeah, when he came up at half-time, I could see his big smile. And yeah, look, we've always had that kind of laugh and a joke with each other. And yeah, it was nice for him coming up to me for once.
And here we go, a word on him. Obviously, he had his announcement to make this week that he would be leaving at the end of the season. We heard the reaction. It's very emotional, isn't it?
Yeah, look, obviously there's a lot of emotion around it, and I think it's crucial in these moments that, you know, I don't tell you how to feel and you don't tell me how to feel about it. So all I can tell you is how I feel about it. Now, first of all, I'm disappointed to lose my best mate, and in the game we've done it all together. He's an amazing player, an amazing person, and yeah, he's made me a better player, and that's from the bottom of my heart. You know, he's took me to levels I never knew existed. He kept pushing me through the good years, and he's made a choice. So, you know, I think his legacy at this club is there for everyone to see. The trophies he's won, the moments he's had in history will always be there. And it is, of course, it's an emotional decision. And you know, Trent, you know, it's not been an easy one. You know, of course it's not. But he's made the decision. And yeah, it's not nice to see your friend, you know, get booed, and it wasn't nice. But like I says, we can't tell people how to act. But I can tell you how I feel about it. I'm extremely proud of him, of what he's done from this club. You know, I love him as a friend, I love him as a player, and you know, he'll be missed. He'll maybe be missed for me as one of my best friends in the game. So that's how I feel about it, and I'm not going to tell anyone else how to feel about it.
Wise words.
Great words.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Bob on. Absolutely spot on. Yeah, and Trent will have his way of thinking, and the fans will have their way of thinking, and the manager, and everyone will. And it's not, you know, right for anybody to say, well, this is exactly how you should be feeling. I get it. I mean, you know, I've been there where Trent has been, and as I explained before, I probably one of the few people that had that exact same decision to make, from the exact same club to the exact same club, at a similar age, etc. Having been there since, you know, you were a young boy. And, you know, my only take, well, I've got loads of different views on it, you know, but my take from today is for Trent and how he's feeling, because I felt that.
Was you surprised that they came for you, Mike, like that? Did it surprise you that when you made the decision? Did it surprise you?
Yeah, a little bit surprising and certainly disappointing and certainly gut-wrenching. Because the problem is, I think once you make that decision to go, I think people automatically assume that you don't love them anymore, or you know, you don't care anymore and things like that. It's so far from the truth. I mean, Trent Alexander-Arnold will absolutely bleed red. He loves that club. But, you know, you do own, and once you're a professional footballer, it's easy for fans to say, well, that badge, you know, and they love that badge and they will never change. And of course, nor would Trent if he wasn't a player. Nor would have I, nor would Wright. We'd all support the same team for the rest of our lives. I get that, but it's our job. It's a footballer's job. And if you get to the opportunity to play in a different country, different style of play, you know, different weather, different food, different language, at the absolute elite club in the world, it's a very hard decision. When you're, of course you're at Liverpool, but it's a very hard decision, and you only get one shot at it. You only get, you know, 12 years, a tiny part of your life as a professional footballer. And I thought, I'm sure, and evidently Trent thinks, do you know what? I'll regret not seeing something else. I've seen one thing in my life, the same stadium, the same training ground, the same people, the same everything in my life. Do I want to retire and just, you know, see nothing else, not experienced a thing? You know, it's an incredible opportunity, and he will literally go, if he's like me, he will drive to the airport crying the whole way there.
I remember you telling me that number.
I cried the whole way there, and I was gutted I was leaving. It doesn't mean that you hate the team. It means that you just, I've just got to try something else. And sadly, there's no turning back. Once you do that, Trent will probably realise there probably will be no turning back. You will not come to Liverpool. In fact, by the time you finished at Madrid, you won't be the same player anymore. And Liverpool, you almost don't want Liverpool to see you're not as good as you were. That's how I felt. That's how I comforted myself afterwards, thinking, do you know what? You know, if I'd gone back when I was 28 or 30 or something, they wouldn't have seen the real Michael. When I was 18, 19, they wouldn't have seen me anyway. So I comfort myself thinking, well, at least my team and my heart got to see the best of me. And that's how I comfort myself to this day. But there'll be so many emotions going through his head now, and he'll be so upset. If he's anything like I was, his family will be consoling him, his friends, and it's just really, really sad. And I hated it, and I'm sure he is as well.
So when he came on and when he got the first touch and when we heard what we heard, because as you say, he is one of them. His song is, he's the Scouser in the team. Would he have been anticipating this in any way, shape or form?
I think so. I think he would have been dreading it in a certain way, thinking that this could happen. He's not stupid. He sees the news. He reads social media probably. He reads, you know, the press and watches television. And he probably was bracing himself.
That's his first touch.
Yeah, well, you can see the real proper Liverpool fans who love him tried to drown them out. But I think what we saw with him was a little bit of his quality, where there's some of his balls, he just looked like, in his mind there, when you look at his face here, I think somebody comes over, tries to put his arm up. I saw it before, I think it was Diaz, and he pulled his arm away, because I think that he's gone into, right, if that's how you feel, I'm out. He looks like that, his face is that, I'm out. I've tried to celebrate when he scored that goal the other week and tried to show them how much he loved them, but they showed exactly what they think of him right now. And I think he's just absolutely devastated.
Do you
Pointed
think
out
it's
his
the last we
family
see
there.
of him at Anfield? Do you think
I don't know.
Do you think he'll come on in the Palace game after what?
He feels if he needs to, but possibly the manager shouldn't allow him to. I don't know. It's a good question. I think they've got to sit down and have a good think about that. You don't want to drag him through booze for a game and things like that. You saw him pointing to his family there. He'll be closer to them than ever now, thinking, I need you right now. They'll be upset. He'll be upset. He's got to be careful as well that he's got to just remember all the good times, and that 95% of Liverpool fans still do love him. They're just upset that what's happening, it's still raw, etc. And he's just got to try to get that out of his mind. In fact, it's virtually impossible. I didn't do it great. I still don't do it great. But he's got to try to just think, do you know what? They did love me deep down. They do love me. It's just a way of showing their frustration, or however he computes it. I don't know how you can compute it, because I'm useless at it to this day. You know, I put up so many barriers now, whether I go to the stadium, when I'm reading social media, whatever I'm doing, I've got so many coping mechanisms now. When you love something and they don't love you back, or you feel as if they don't love you back, and then you go through all the things you did for that team, and the blood, sweat and tears, and the things you won, and the people you made happy, and then you think, and you don't love me. It's heartbreaking, and it really is. And I just hope that he can find a coping mechanism after this, especially if he gets booed in the next couple of games as well, and he would have read all the nasty comments. I just hope, you know, because at the moment he's probably thinking, do you know what, done with you. I'm going to Madrid, and I've got to clear you out my mind, because I don't want that negative energy. And I don't know what the answer is, because, as I say, I've been rubbish at it.
Yeah, and your insight's fantastic, but obviously the slight difference was you returned as a visiting player, expecting a wonderful reception. You didn't quite get it. He's still a Liverpool player, playing for Liverpool there.
Yeah, but like I say...
Right, so you've got experience of it. I mean, you left the club that you did great for,
With
Crystal Palace right at the end. And you know,
and the thing is, Mike, is that, like I was saying to you, no matter how much you tried to tell the story about what they'd done and how the move came about, and how I never ever initiated a move or tried to instigate a move. It literally happened over a weekend. By the time Monday came, I was an Arsenal player. And when I went home that night, it was daubed on my mum's wall, Judas, stuff like that. Then the Palace fans, when I went, they were singing terrible songs, and I'm thinking, where has this come from? I got to Palace in '85, and we only got better every year to the fight. We went to the FA Cup final, didn't quite work out for us. We finished third in the league. You know, everything was, and I was surprised when I went back there that they booed me like they did. Now, their problem as well is because they know I've got a massive affinity with Arsenal, and that came from David Rocastle. Now, David Rocastle supported Palace when we was all younger on the estate, and that. I supported Arsenal because David was there as a youngster, and the whole estate supported Arsenal, so that's where that came from. But they seem to think just because I went to Arsenal and I said I wanted to leave to go and win things, I did go and win things, and I just think that they couldn't accept that. They can't accept it. They want to dislike you because they're capable of being able to dislike you. But I'm happy with everything I've done for Palace. When we got their second division, brought them to the first division, left them in a great place, and then I went on and it worked out exactly how I wanted it to work out for me at Arsenal, because I was able to go to a place where they can give me that. But you can't dwell on what they're thinking, because the love you've got for them will never, ever leave you. It will never leave me, what Palace. Palace think for some reason I don't like them no more because I'm all loved up with us. I adore Crystal Palace. I speak to Steve Parish every week on the results. You just have a text message, because that's what they mean to me. I don't need to explain that to them, because there's generations of Palace fans that I know what they think of me. I don't want to flex or anything, but they voted me the player of their century. It doesn't get any bigger than that. So no matter what they say to me or what they do, where they boo, whatever. I went to Fulham the other day, they were brilliant. I don't know what they're going to be like when I go to Wembley. But the fact is I know that I gave them everything. And that's what Trent is, giving them everything, and they've won as well.
Every single trophy.
Every single thing you can get from a football club for their fans, Trent's given it to them. And so you think to yourself, if you cannot be satisfied with what I've given for it, then that's on you. He's got to move on with happiness as well.
Yeah. And I admire, and if I could do that, I've not handled it as well as Wright in my career. It's still raw for me. No. So, as I say, I've got no answer, and that's why I asked Wrighty there, what would you do? Or you felt the same, Wrighty, but I know how he'll feel now, though, and so does Wrighty, and so do a lot of people. And listen, we're not the only people it's happened to as well. So, yeah, he's just got to remember the good times and try to blank it out as best he can.
Before the game, you mentioned you were unsure what reaction Trent would get if you were going to make that change, which you did. What did you make of the reaction?
No, in general and in life, I think the good thing about living in Europe is that everybody can have his opinion, and that's the same here in Liverpool. So there were people who were not so happy with him. There were a lot of people that were happy with him. They clapped for him, a few of them booed. I think everybody's allowed to have his own opinion. And towards the end, more and more, I think people got more and more positive. But for me, it's simple. I owe it to the team and to the fans, to everyone, to play a team that can win a game of football. And Trent showed why I brought him in, because he had 2 or 3 incredible balls, and we were very close to winning it, partly because of him. So for me, it's not that difficult, and for the fans, it's they can have the reaction they want. But I will always back my players, the ones that I lead, the ones that wear a red shirt. I will always back them, no matter what.
Obviously, we're not speaking to Trent. We're not speaking to Trent in this very moment in time. You know him. You've worked with him. You've obviously known about his choice and decision for quite some time. Do you think it took him by surprise, though, at the start when he was introduced?
What took
the reaction of the crowd and the noise?
I don't know. First of all, they sang for Steven Gerrard, which is a nice thing to do, I think.
They sung for Conor Bradley as well.
They sang for Conor Bradley, which is also a nice thing to do because he deserves it. Conor played a very good game. And I think it was just before Trent took the free kick, I heard more people clapping for him or hoping that he would score than people booing him. So it's everybody has the right to have his own opinion, but it would not be fair to all the Liverpool fans if we only focus on the few that booed. And if they want to, it's fine by me. But there were a lot of people that were really positive about him as well. And like I said, I play the ones that can win the game. I owe it to the team. I owe it to everyone to pick the ones that can win the game for us. And that's what I did today.
And that, Michael, is a very good point from the manager, isn't it, in terms of picking the team to win the game for the supporters, which, when you turn up at Anfield, champions or no champions, you want to see a winning team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I totally get it from Arne Slott's point of view. I do question what he will do in the remaining 2 games.
Well, particularly the one at Anfield.
Exactly, yeah.
This is a conundrum now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because he's right, they were chanting for Conor Bradley, but there's probably an underlying reason why.
They were chanting for Steven Gerrard, an underlying reason why. I mean, every article you read, every fan's, comment that you see, it's sort of, Steven Gerrard didn't leave, etc., etc. They're comparing this situation. Steve McManaman and Michael Owen did. Trent Alexander-Arnold is going to, but Steven Gerrard didn't. So you can stay, you can win things, you can, and of course you can. But everybody is now, using that, and that's probably the underlying reason they were singing that. But I thought Arne Slot was bang on there, and it's what I was at pains to say. My first part of my answer, when you first asked me, Steve, was that it wasn't the whole stadium. 500 boos amongst a 60,000 crowd, you will hear them, and that's only a tiny percentage. Less than 1% of the fans that you would hear. So there might have been more, there might have been less, but it certainly wasn't the whole stadium. So there's certainly millions and millions and millions of fans all around the world that would absolutely clap, thank, praise Trent Alexander-Arnold for his contribution. And I think that is important to state as well. As much as me and Wrighty have spoken about how painful it is for a handful of people to boo, there are a vast majority that are very appreciative of what he's done, and rightly so.
You know what, Mike? I'll just say what no one does look at, what the fans are not looking at, is how the business aspect, the business side of this, has let something like this happen. 18 months ago, even 2 years ago, they should have made him the kind of offer that he couldn't refuse, and then you say, well, that's it. Either you take that, or we are going to sell you at this stage. That's the business aspect of this. So someone upstairs at Liverpool...
Well, that was in the previous regime at Liverpool, wasn't it?
Yes, but at the same time, that is important. You've got Van Dijk, Salah and Trent coming into the last years of their contract, last season of their contract. That shouldn't be happening at a club like Liverpool. So that's where the fans really should be putting their anger, because they should not have taken their eye off the ball to make a player of Trent's calibre get himself in a position where Real Madrid can see, is if he's for free, I'm going to get him, because that's what happens. And when you get into that Real Madrid tractor beam, which unfortunately I never got into, it's very hard to get out of. And they need to understand that. This has been, from a business point of view, a terrible decision by Liverpool for him to get to that stage of his contract. And unfortunately, he's having to bear the brunt of it.
And we shouldn't forget as well that 2 weeks today, we will be sitting here in this very studio watching Liverpool lift the trophy and get their medals. And of course, Trent Alexander-Arnold, quite rightly, will receive his medal and lift that trophy. And there shouldn't surely be any boos at that point.
Well, and this is where we, you know, the manager, and maybe Trent himself have got to have a long, hard think about it. If the trophy had already been lifted, if it was, you know, if it was the last game of the season, maybe it would be wise to just quietly leave. You know, you made.
What do you mean? Someone give it to you, right? Like, yeah, Trent, here's yours.
But because the trophy and the medal are going to be
the fans.
No, this is the point. So he's going to have some part to play. He's contributed too much, and it's when the prizes are dished out, it's when they're lifting the trophy, it's when he's going to get his medal. So that probably answers our question, because we were debating it. Would you? Should you? Shouldn't you? But I think that tips it in terms of, yeah, he's got to play some part. Listen, he's over the worst of it now. He's already been booed. What's the worst that can happen? He can be booed again. It's not going to, you know, it's not going to... That hurt him today, I can assure you. It's not going to, you know, hurt him any more than it did today anyway. So thinking about it, my original thought was to have a think and to think, oh, should he, shouldn't he, what are the pros and cons? But I think once the dust settles, I think sense will prevail, and I think he will take part.
History treat him well. All he needs to be is up there with that trophy, with all the Liverpool fans in the background. That's the picture you want. That's a picture that can't say anything apart from success. And that's what it will come down to, because as sad as all this is, Steve, it's happening. That's how a certain amount of them feel, whatever the amount is. And it's kind of tarnishing it a little bit, because you can imagine, Mike, the last day of the season, they won it in COVID, didn't get to celebrate with everything. Now he's getting to celebrate, and he doesn't know if the fans are going to celebrate alongside him to be happy. What he's got to do, he's got to take that on the chin and just like celebrate his win.
Well said.